Hello everyone, I'm Prabhanshu Atri and I'll be talking about PyBeacon. It's an Eddystone implementation in Python. It's a package which helps you use PyBeacon. Maybe there are many unknown terms for you. Don't worry about it. We'll deal them one by one. So imagine imagine you could interact with these posters right across, like all the posters you could see in this conference. Imagine you can just click on this poster and know about PyCon India or PyCon India's schedule. Like, wouldn't that be interesting? Imagine if you like you're walking into this hall and you could know what talk is going on and what's the information without even searching for that talk on the PyCon India's website. I mean, it's cumbersome to know which talk is going on, right? You must be facing this issue since last 3 days. So this is where Beacon helps us. This is where Beacon can technically help you to interact with real world objects. So I'll be talking about beacons. What are they, if you don't know, and then we'll move on to Eddystone protocol. What's an Eddystone protocol? How it's related to beacons. Then we'll be talking. I'll give you a demo of Eddystone URL, how URL actually working and how we can encode the URL. Then I'll be talking about PyBeacon. What's the idea behind it? How you can use it, and then moving on. In the end, I'll give you a demo. Actually, I was trying to give a demo on my laptop, but Linux is not working with the projector. So what I will do is run a simple command on his system, and we'll see how PyBeacon is broadcasting a URL in this vicinity. So beacons are actually not new to human civilization. We have been deploying beacons all around the world on seashores and to help sailors sail. Imagine yourself to be Vasco da Gama coming from Portugal to India, and you are stuck in storm. How are you going to decide where you want to go? That's where these lighthouses, these beacons actually help sailors. So this picture actually explains everything about a beacon. So there's this beacon lighthouse which is transmitting light or data in all directions, and there's this device, user device or a sailor which is looking for data or a direction. So this is quite this picture gives you quite information about beacons. So so I've brought beacons with me. These are ST-mode beacons. These are bulky ones with sensors and everything. They are like smaller and lighter versions as well. So these are ST-mode beacons. They are emitting URLs, as some of you have noticed since yesterday. You must be getting some URLs in your phone if you have enabled nearby API and Bluetooth. So you will be getting a URL about one URL is about my website and the other one is about this talk. So beacon is nothing, just a small BLE radio, BLE device, Bluetooth low energy device, Bluetooth radio transmitting. It just transmits data and there's no need of connection. As it's BLE, there's less energy consumption. There's less energy required for this. So and there's no connection and there's no to and fro data exchange. It just transmits the data and other devices just scans and get the data. That's it. There's nothing. So that's why everyone is comparing it with the lighthouse. That's the example. First example comes up when you Google beacons. So Eddystone is a protocol developed by Google. It's a beacon protocol for Google for beacons to help developers develop their own products, own things, so that they can deploy beacons and then they can get location and proximity data in real time and in a better way to give a contextual and personalized experience. As a growth hacker, you will be facing this issue. Like many apps, like while I was working at Zomato, we faced this issue that the user drops off at some point in the order, or user just installs the app, or even they just go to website and they don't install the app, because installing app gives us better conversions in orders than in comparison to the web. So this is based on Eddystone, and there's this type called Eddystone URL. Based on that URL, Google came up with this service bundled with Chrome called physical web. So their idea is to create everything around you and create a physical web for devices. So it's like right now your devices are blind. They cannot see without having sensors or some data, some GPS coordinates. and within rooms there are no indoor locations, and beacons give them guidance in this case. So if you most of you must be having an Android device, I guess, and even if you have an iOS device, you can just pull up your phone right now and open up Chrome and go to settings, and in settings you will find there's this thing called privacy. In privacy you will find physical web, and it's in Chrome 49 version 49 plus and above. So you can see it right now, and if you enable it, you will start getting notifications once you enable the Bluetooth. The thing here is these notifications are not not too much. Like they are silent notifications. They don't buzz you a lot. Recently, actually, physical web was like 6 days or within last week, the physical web has been cancelled, and it will be removed from Chrome browsers now, and you will have to enable nearby APIs because they have integrated everything into nearby. That was just a testing and trial mode of Eddystone URL. So Eddystone was first introduced in IO 16, Google IO 16. It's a developer conference by Google, and they introduced Eddystone with their idea what beacon meant and how you can do. So when you watch these talks, there are 4 of them. You will find there is a candy machine, and the speaker is using his phone to get candies from that machine just using Eddystone URL and a Bluetooth. That's BLE connection. So what happens is web Bluetooth enables Eddystone URL to connect to that machine, and then the machine can vend candies. So this is where my journey actually started, because I ordered these beacons from Poland, and it takes like 1 month according to their site, but it took 40 days to come. And while I was frustrated with that, I thought, why? I mean, I have a better computer than these small PCBs. So I thought, why not? If Eddystone is open source, I can myself create a library which can enable my machine to let me test that. At least I should be able to test it. So that's where PyBeacon actually started, and I wrote this library. As I told you, it's an open beacon format developed by Google. It's officially supported by Google on Android and iOS. So it's unlike iBeacon, it's supported on both the platforms. So in this case, there are 4 frames. First one is Eddystone UID. UID is just a unique ID. Let's say a hash, a random values of 31 bytes, and they are just transmitted over Bluetooth. That's it. There's no rocket science in the first case, and that's what iBeacon actually does with some little complexities. Then second one is Eddystone URL. That's just a compressed URL transmitted over Bluetooth. It's as simple as I'm telling you, and it's as simple as, this is as simple as it goes actually for Eddystone. And transmitting these URLs is actually very easy, and for developer as well as for users. So since last day you must be getting 2 URLs, as I already told you, and that's because I'm emitting 2 URLs using these beacons. There are 2 Eddystone URLs. So the third frame type is TLM, Eddystone TLM. This is telemetry data. It's a metadata about beacon, like sensor data, like battery status. This enables to get more data from the beacons and everything. The fourth case is EIDs. Eddystone EID is actually same as UID. The only difference is it is ephemeral, that is time variant. It changes with time to give a dynamic values to the UID of the beacon. So we know beacons now. We know at least some part of Eddystone. It's just a set of rules to let phones know how to handle this data. But let's come back to the initial thought of clicking these posters. Let's say you walk into a movie theater and you see this new Star Wars movie poster. And what would you do to know more? If you're not a fan of Star Wars, you would Google it. You will go to YouTube to see trailer, right? But that's a barrier, because the user has to do some effort to get that information. And as a growth hacker, you must understand that this is where user drops off. This is where user doesn't want to do something. So what we can do here is this beacon can transmit this URL. Actually, these Eddystone URLs are actually compressed URLs. We have a limited amount of bytes to transmit over Bluetooth because it's a low energy. So you can use link shorteners and everything. And so I am using this link shortener. Actually, this is my own application. I'm shortening URLs. So you can, if this poster has a beacon and that transmits this URL, then the user devices can see, if they have enabled nearby APIs and Bluetooth, they can see such notifications saying Star Wars Last Jedi official teaser, YouTube. And when the user taps on this, it directly goes to their YouTube app and opens up the trailer. It's just a redirecting URL if you are not getting it. Cool. So now we should know the requirements, like where all is it supported. So starting with Android, it's supported on all Android starting from KitKat. And then it's supported on all iOS devices starting from iOS 8. And but the problem with this Android Apple devices is that you need an app to pass that data from the beacon, because it's not native. But in Android, it's already native. Nearby APIs and awareness APIs are already using it. So as I already told you, they had included this in Chrome, but they will be removing it very soon. And of course, you will need a Bluetooth-enabled device. So how do you enable nearby APIs? That's the first question, and that's quite easy as it's a Google product. So starting from, you just go into your settings, you'll find this option saying Google, and there's this Google, and then you search for nearby and just click it. Once enabled, you'll see all the links in your vicinity. So if you're going to try it now, you'll see 2 links being transmitted. Now you know beacons, you have understood, I guess, some part of Eddystone and protocol, how it's just a URL that it's being transmitted over Bluetooth. But there can be many use cases of this. These movie posters, even posters are not the only case here. So starting from Bavaria, Germany, their farmers are doing, what they are doing is tracking their harvested crop data, and they are even getting sensor data from their farms without even touching the hardware, because it's a beacon that's deployed on site, and they just go nearby, open up their app, and they get the data, like humidity, soil, and everything. And like these are the developer beacons. Let me show you the open one. I've opened one of the beacons, and it's just few batteries and a PCB board. And they've given, with developer beacons, they've given 4 pins, so I can interact with other devices like Raspberry Pi as well, and other sensors. Like you'll have to write that code, of course, but it enables you. It's kind of open source, so you can work on it. So there's another company. There's a company called Proxima in England. They have deployed beacons on London buses. So if you're traveling by a London bus, you can just open up your nearby, and you can see a link. You can open up that link, and you will see where the bus is going and what are the next stops. So it's kind of interactive behavior of these apps. So and there are other stores as well. Of course, there's a commercial use case as well. So the commercial use cases like Urban Outfit, Macy's, and some other products I'm forgetting right now. They have deployed there in their stores, and what they are doing is they are knowing what kind of users are coming to their stores, what kind of product they are interested in, and they can give them advertisements, or it's just not advertisement. They can give them offers, royalty points, rewards, so that the user can. There's a retention of user. The user can come back and have a great experience. Moreover, you can even once you know the behavior of the user, you can even understand that if with this you can even say with this product you can buy this product as well. So that gives a contextual experience. In US, there's a Computer Science Museum, the oldest museum of computer science. They are using beacons to give interactive tour of the museum. Same goes with Germany. They have artifacts museums, and they have deployed these beacons. And there's when the user is nearby, he can hear the audio about the history of that painting or history of that artifact. So Eddystone is not the only thing here in beacons. The other type of protocol is iBeacon. Actually, Beacon started with Apple, and they started with iBeacon, but it's a proprietary software. It's not open. Unlike iBeacon, Eddystone is open source. It has 4 types of frame. It has more options. You can even With Eddystone URL, you doesn't even need an app. You just need a native Android phone just with nearby enabled. And then there are other things as well, because they have nearby and proximity beacon APIs and now awareness APIs. You can even write your own code. You can even modify things. So this clearly gives the edge to Eddystone. So today we'll try to understand Eddystone URL. So to transmit data from a Bluetooth device, you'll be sending data in bytes. Okay. So so let's say there's a URL, and every URL starts with an HTTPS, right? So in the first table, we'll see what kind of frame type are we using. In this case, we are using Eddystone URL. So the value will be OX10. Then you can set TX power. It's just the power to decide how much radius will be covered using that beacon. Then there's URL scheme and encoded URL. So first of all, when you have an URL, you will be dividing that URL into parts, like protocol, subdomain, hostname, TLD, like .com, and then there'll be a path. So as we have a limited number of bytes, we have these specifications which help us reduce the number of bytes. So every typical URL starts with one of these, right? So if your URL starting with HTTPS / www, then you can just use 0x01 instead of converting every character into a hexadecimal code. And same goes with the TLDs. If you are having a complete path, like let's say google.com/search/something, then you will be using this .com, this value for .com. And if it's just google.com, you are going to use 0x07. It's that simple. That's easy. You just need to convert those URLs into these specifications and then transmit the data using a Eddystone beacon. It's the same table from the previous slide, and these two tables describe what are the values of A, B, C, D, A to Z in hexadecimals. So you can just use these tables and convert them. So we'll be converting a URL that will be https //www.raspberrypi.org. So first part of this URL would be HTTPS, and this is clubbed together, and we already know that we can use a single byte for this complete substring. So the first value would be 01 from the previous slides. There's this table you can see. So you can see it starts with HTTPS and www. So the value can be 0x01. Then the second part of this URL is Raspberry Pi. So we'll be converting this character by character into hexadecimal codes, and using the previous tables, you can see the values. It's pretty basic. 62 for B, and same like this. So the last part would be the TLD.org, and from the previous table we have already know the values. It's that simple, and that value will be 08 because there is no path after that instead of 001. Now you have the sequence of bytes. You can just use blues or HCI dump to scan the data, and blues to transmit the data. So I just created a static page for this to convert the URLs and to know how it's working. So it's just a small, it's a website. If I go to st.one, that's Eddystone, and I type the URL, I'll get the converted code. It's just a static page, that's it. So when you want to start with development with beacons, you want to try them, you want to deploy them on small scale. Let's say you have a stall at PyBeacon India, and you want to let other users know about your product, your stall, or your community. What would you do? Like, you are going to order one of these. These are the quality products, like from Estimote. You can buy the cheaper ones from China, but from using AliExpress, but it will take time to come to you, and it will cost you some money. That might not even be required by you, because you might be testing them. And as a developer, I think that's kind of barrier to you. Like, it was a barrier to me to get started, and there was a time delay. So I started with the PyBeacon and created this. Using those specifications, I created Eddystone URL package. Then I submitted to their repository. they've accepted the initial version in their repository. Scott Jensen is the guy who's maintaining it. Then some other contributor came up with this idea of adding UID as well to this repository, because UID was also required for their development purposes. Because there are two other repositories which are mainly two repositories which are working on this, taking this as a base code, and they were deploying some Raspberry Pi related cluster modules. So there are two dependencies here. The first one is Blues, that's already there in Ubuntu and some other Linux systems, or you can just install it using apt. And the second one is Python. Python 2 is also supported from 2.6, but there's a lag with scanning, and that issue is still open. But with Python 3 is quite good. You can scan right away, and it works if you want to transmit, it works with both of the versions of the Python. So installing is quite easy. Sudo pip install PyBeacon. Then upgrading is same, and you can just run PyBeacon -- help to get the help and this information. While setting it up, my Ubuntu was not working with the projector. So before that, I just installed this PyBeacon into Ayush system, I guess. So okay, his system, and he'll be. What we'll do is I'll give you a demo of PyBeacon, how he will transmit a URL from his laptop, and I'll be able to see in my device. So I think I need to pair this with my laptop. Okay, AirDroid is taking time. I think net is slow. If you guys are online, you could just. Or if you have enabled a nearby API, you can even check your phones with that. So what he'll do is he will run a command PyBeacon space -u space a URL. I'll show you the URL. This will be the URL, and he has it in the system. And once he presses enter, yeah, go ahead. And now you will be able to see it on your in your nearby. But for this, you need Bluetooth as well as internet connection, because there's a proxy between nearby and your search results, because there can be spam links, there can be phishing links. So what they are running is a proxy in between to filter out the results. So he is transmitting them, and I'm refreshing on my phone. This is still not getting connected, I guess. I can see it on my screen, my phone right now. Yeah, Express PyBeacon, but it will be redirecting you to PyBeacon's GitHub repository. If you could just refresh it, or just lock the phone and unlock it, you'll go to notification section. You will see it. 6.7. Okay, IP has changed, I guess. 2.8. So I've locked the phone, I'm unlocking it, and I must see these URLs. It's not showing up. Let's try again. Oh, come on. Let's refresh it. First two URLs on the screen are from my beacons. Can you run it again? Can you please run it again? I swear it worked. Yeah, here's it. So this is the second URL. It's a redirect URL. Again, I'm using my own shortening URL service, express.org. So it's redirecting to PyBeacon's repository, and it's as simple as that. It's a simple command saying PyBeacon space -u space the URL. So the next part. So when I implemented this, other contributors started contributing or started developing their own product over this. So these are the two main repositories which are working on this. PyBT Steward is actually sending telemetry data over Bluetooth BLE devices. It started from PyBeacon, but it has grown into quite a big repository now. And then there's Pi Kiosk, and this is using Raspberry Pi and Chromium, something he's doing on his job, like he's creating some kiosks for coffee or cafe, something like that. Recently I found that I wrote this repository like in 2016, but recently I found out that there are people who are blogging about it, and I just compiled them here on the screen, and if you want to see them, you can just open up my talk and you can get these URLs. So that's the idea behind PyBeacon was to enable everyone to start developing with beacons or BLE devices and to know more about Bluetooth, because BLE is coming up, and contextual and personalized experiences will matter because we are saturated with the web, and I think web cannot be just web. Web has to be more than web. It has to be interactive. It has to be engaging, because BLE devices can enable everyone to engage with each other, or devices can engage with each other. That's how this can help you. And now now you can go today and you can just install it with one command and run your Eddystone URL with second command. It's that simple, and you won't have to buy beacons. And like some companies, some people try things first and then they decide whether it's going to work for them or not. You can do the same thing without even investing into it. And that's my idea here, and that's what I wanted to do. I guess that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions.
Anyone is having questions?
Yeah, hey, Pranshu.
Hey.
So I had a question about the top level domains that Eddystone URL supports. So are those the only exclusive URLs that Eddystone URL support that you showed in the table? Or what if something else comes up like .py, like .com, .org, you showed it.
So you're talking about the domain, the TLDs. I thought domain as in platform.
No, top level domains.
What they have done is they have taken the popular global TLDs only, because there are many other domains, and if you want to work with other, what you will have to do is convert let's say there's another website, prabhanshu.me, let's say. It's not mine, so don't visit. Okay. So you will have to convert every character one by one. So for .me, you will have to convert .m and e into hex codes. So for .me, you will have 3 bytes. Instead of .com, you will have 1 byte. Like for .com, you will have 1 byte.
That might be a constraint in sending up.
No. In that case, I think you will be using your URL shortening. You can use Google's URL shortening because it's quite smaller and you can redirect them. And there's one catch here. You will have to transmit only HTTPS URLs, because the proxy is filtering them, and HTTP URL are easy to deploy, and they can be fishy and everything.
Hello. Yeah, so I wanted to know this PyBeacon package, right, in which we are able to transmit one URL,
right,
like on the command line.
Right.
So if I want to transmit many URLs after each hour, so how do I start a server and use it over there?
So for that, you will have to, first of all, you need to understand that unlike other services or other things, you will need a dedicated hardware for this. So in this case, my laptop's Bluetooth is the dedicated hardware. If you want to transmit multiple URL using the same system, I think you'll have to come up with some other hardwares, and you have to connect them separately. And but in that case, you'll have to. I think you should go with the beacons, with the stickers. The STMode stickers are there, so you can have separate stickers for separate URL, because that gives a less effort in maintenance and development. And I actually thought about this, but I think we'll have to come up with a lot of work to implement this in PyBeacon. And if you have ideas like that, and if you want to do, you are welcome to contribute to the repository.
And what is the proxy that you are talking about? Like,
so the nearby, what nearby does is it takes the URL from the nearby in the vicinity, takes it, and then runs through the proxy, checks where the URL is taking you, exactly where the URL is taking you. And if it's there are standard rules, and these rules are actually defined by Google. Few of them are open, like it should be HTTPS, it should not be some phishing website, some spam website, something like that. And if it's not in one of these, you're good to go. You can use any redirecting services, and you can just use your URL, and it works fine with that.
If the website is hosted on intranet of a company, then will it redirect?
Okay, so if you want to redirect to a specific IP address, that's what you meant, right?
Roughly, I'm saying that the website is not public, but it's internal to a certain network. So, will it work in that case?
Yeah, it will work in that case, but for nearby, what you'll have to do is there are two approaches to this. First of all, you can use nearby API and use UID, a unique ID for the beacon, and use that ID instead of the IP, and then use your app to pass going to that IP. And the second one is to use HTTPS, and then nearby will work just fine. Using the any IP address, any URL, that would work, because the proxy sits on your phone that runs.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there any benefit to using these beacons?
Okay, yeah.
Is there any benefit to using these hardware beacons, more beacons, rather than your own custom solution?
I didn't get you. I'm sorry.
Is there any benefit to using these ST-mode beacons?
Okay. So these beacons have actually light sensor, temperature sensor, and there are other things. And their newer version has NFC tags as well. So if you're a developer and you want to test few other things, sensors and everything, and you want to transmit that telemetry data using the ST-mode protocol or Eddystone protocol, so you can use these beacons. And if you want to just use beacons, you can buy ST-mode stickers, or you can buy any other company stickers as well. There are many actually. And if you want to start with the cheaper ones, you can go with the Chinese ones as well. They work fine, but the good thing about these products is that they have a proper app, and they have a standardized app, so that there's no problem while deploying or while testing them. Yeah.
I would like to take information regarding the real-time example, such as suppose I'm going to Big Bazaar and I'm going to a particular section of fruits. So I should get a notification about the fruits.
Right.
So there are two steps. First step is that I have to enable the nearby in my mobile. So how PyBeacon will be implemented in that scenario? How to implement in that market scenario or something?
So
like that?
yeah,
So
I agree. Bluetooth is one barrier here, to be specific. Nearby and awareness, there is this thing people are talking about, that you cannot disable awareness APIs, and nearby APIs will be there, I guess. So it's the incentive the company or the service is giving the user, helps or pushes the user to enable those things. So let's say you own Big Bazaar or like some other outlet, and you want to give this notifications to the user. You will say just open up, just turn on your Bluetooth and roam around the store, and you will give you the offers. So this is the thing. This is where like incentive works, and that's how the companies and the outlets in the West are doing it. So this Urban Outfit, Macy's, what they are doing is, even IKEA stores are actually, if you haven't heard it, IKEA is like, they give different parts and you can assemble them into tables or other things. So, and they have other products as well. But what they are doing is they are giving incentives, and they are giving reward points to the users. It's actually deployed in IKEA Austria. There's an even video on YouTube talking about it, demonstrating it. So while they are picking up the product, they can see you can buy this product and you will get this much off, or you can just even say you will get this much reward point if you complete this much amount of order today. So that's where incentive comes in. So using Beacon, you will be getting notification. So Google has this service for beacons where you go on your beacon dashboard and register your beacon, okay? And then you select, it's very quite easier for any user can do it. You just go there and register your beacon and type, this is the notification I want to show for this particular beacon. And let's say you put it here, and everyone coming in the area will get that notification when they are near this. So actually nearby is just not beacons, it's more than that. They are using ultrasonic sounds and they are using Wi-Fi signals and other things as well. And there are other companies also using the Wi-Fi to detect. But beacon gives a clear picture of where the user is exactly. So I was talking about the stickers, right? So they are this thick and they are this big. Okay, and what some stores have done is they have stick them to let's say shoe, and whenever you pick a shoe, that user that moves, and there is a acceleration sensor there. So what it does is it knows that this thing has moved, and then you can push the notification to user that this shoe is of this much amount. That's how the interactive world can be. Like this is how things can be connected. So that's the thing.
Thank you, Prabhanshu.
Thank you.
It was a great talk.
Okay, I think there's no time. We can even talk after, like, oh, cool. Thank you guys.